July 14th, 2025. The time is 7 p.m. We have two items on this evening's agenda. Order number 25-100-9432, an application for wireless special permit from Jerry Squires on behalf of Dish Wireless to install, operate, and maintain a wireless communications facility consisting of 9 antennas, 12 remote radio units, 12 fiber cables, and ground equipment within a 100-square-foot lease area on and next to the water tank at 115 Onamog Street. The public hearing was held on June 9th, 2025. We also have order number 100-9452B, a petition of Comcast to install a new underground conduit starting at pole number 55, excavating to place one 3-inch PVC conduit 158 feet in a proposed vault to provide service to 630 Forest Street. We will begin with order number 25-100-9432. Mr. Squires, if you want to come into the well and give us a quick overview of the special permit before I get into the permit itself.
Sure. Well, as you just summarized, I'm here representing Jerry Squires, Stoughton, Massachusetts. I work for J. Lee Consulting. I'm here on behalf of Dish Wireless. As stated, we're here requesting a special permit for a wireless communications facility at 115 Onamog to install 9 antennas, 12 remote radio heads, 12 fiber cables, and our ground equipment would be a 10 by 10 foot square area at the base of the, well, a little bit away from the water tank. We're actually going to go in the location that was previously was Sprint Wireless had their equipment located in that same area. So the just want to bring one thing up. The construction drawings show a band that is what Sprint had up there in the past. The water tank consulting firm had asked us to remove that, and when we filed for the building permit, if approved, that will be in a different, it will look a little bit different. It will just, the antennas will be welded to the tank at their request and their specs.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Squires. Appreciate the quick presentation. I will read, we got one comment from Chris Lafrenia, the Assistant Commissioner of Utilities, just regarding a couple of suggestions and recommendations and the findings of fact, and as well as another additional condition. Those have been included in the draft before us, so we'll cover those as we go through the special permit. But with that being said, there were no other comments from managers. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So back to the antennas, I was looking at that. Thank you for actually taking the trouble of actually removing the ones that are there. That's actually be beneficial as far as removing an eyesore. But there is future antenna, proposed antenna. How many antennas are going up initially? And is the future antennas going to be installed much later or soon later, if that makes any, and who's going to own those future antennas?
Okay, so we'd only be installing one per sector, so 3 antennas initially. Okay. I can't answer when the other ones will be.
More or less based on traffic load?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. No, that's fine. I understand that.
So. Yeah.
Okay. But you start with that and it's chance to grow and expand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean, the master plan down the line would be have the full.
So you cap out at 3. If you need more, you come back, right?
You mean 9?
9, right.
Yes.
Yes, 9.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, some are designed for 4, but typically that wouldn't be.
Yeah, I was just looking at the coverage map, and it's going from zilch to significant. So
exactly, yeah.
That, I mean, good, you know.
Because it's a new carrier, so they just, they're creating that.
Oh, so you're filling your own hole. Oh, they're filling their own hole.
Exactly,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So, okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Any other questions from members of the committee or the council before I begin reading through the special permit decision? Okay, sounds good. Starting with the findings of fact, The applicant is a duly organized and existing corporation and FCC licensee having a principal office located at 9601 South Meridian Boulevard, Inglewood, Colorado. The applicant is a subleasee of a portion of the property located at 115 Onamog Street, Assessors Map 81, Parcel 238 in Marlboro. On April 16th, 2025, the applicant filed with the city clerk of the city of Marlboro an application, hereinafter referred to as the applicant, for a special permit under Chapter 650 zoning of the Code of the city of Marlboro. In accordance with Article 5, Section 650-18A20 and Section 650-25 of the zoning ordinance, the applicant proposes the co-location of a new wireless communications facility, 6 antennas and associated equipment on an existing building, the use, at the site as shown in the plan submitted with the application and referenced in paragraph 5 below. Number 5, in connection with the application, the applicant submitted a certified list of abutters, filing fees, and plans by Advanced Engineering Group with the last revision date of February 28th, 2025, attached hereto as Attachment A. Number 6, pursuant to the application, the applicant is licensed by the FCC to provide personal wireless services in the city of Marlboro and surrounding areas, and currently has a problem with significant gaps in coverage and capacity issues with coverage that could be alleviated by installing the use on the subject location as shown on the plans. Number 7, the site is located in the Residence A3 zoning district, which allows a special permit to be issued for a wireless communications facility. Pursuant to the rules and regulations of the City Council of the City of Marlboro and applicable statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the City Council established a date for a public hearing on the application, and the City Clerk for the City of Marlboro caused notice of the same to be advertised and determined that notice of the same was provided to abutters and the planning boards of all surrounding towns entitled thereto in accordance with applicable regulations and law. Number 9, this was one of the additions from Mr. Lafrenia. The subject water tank located at 115 Onamog Street, Fairmount Hill Water Tank, is currently under a long-term 15-year maintenance inspection and capital improvement contract between the City of Marlboro and Utility Service Co., as authorized under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 6169. Any co-location or equipment installation must comply with the terms and conditions of that contract. Number 10, the Marlboro City Council, pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, opened a public hearing on June 9th, 2025. Public hearing was held in the City Council chamber, and the public hearing was closed on June 9th. The applicant presented oral testimony and evidence at the public hearing demonstrating that the use meets all applicable special permit criteria. Number 12, at the public hearing, there were no members of the public speaking in opposition to the use. Number 13, the council, in reviewing the application, considered the review standard and development requirements as enumerated in Article 6, Section 650-25, and Article 7, Section 650-59 of the zoning ordinance. So based on the above, the City Council makes the following findings and takes the following actions. A, the applicant has complied with the rules and regulations promulgated by the Marlboro City Council as they pertain to special permit applications. B, the City Council finds the proposed use of the site is in harmony with the intent and general purpose of the zoning ordinance of the City of Marlboro when subject to appropriate terms and conditions as provided in the decision. The City Council makes these findings subject to the completion and adherence by the applicant, its successors, and/or assigns. C, the City Council finds that the proposed use is consistent with the purposes of Section 650-25. D, the proposed WCF and location are consistent with both the applicable review standards of Section 650-25D and the development requirements in Section 650-25E. The City Council recognizes the applicant is a federal licensee afforded certain protection under federal telecommunications law to the extent provided by the law. F, the City Council confirms the applicant has demonstrated the need to construct the proposed facility to solve certain wireless coverage and capacity issues that currently exist in its network. G, the City Council finds there are adequate, ample parking spaces on the host parcel. H, the City Council finds the proposed use, which consists of an unmanned and unoccupied facility, will have no impact on traffic and pedestrian safety. I, the City Council finds the proposed use will not be contrary to the public health, safety, convenience, or welfare, and will not be offensive or detrimental. J, the City Council, pursuant to its authority under MGL Chapter 40A in the City of Marlborough zoning ordinance, grants the applicant a special permit for the construction of the use, a wireless communications facility on the existing monopole, subject to the following conditions. Number 1.
Mr. Chair,
Councilor Doucette.
it's not a monopole, it's a water tower.
Fair point. How would we, we should, let's see.
Correct that.
Yeah, we can strike that. Everybody cool with that?
Did I write
Thank you,
that?
Councilor Doucette.
Did I write that?
This would have come either between you or the solicitor, I'm not sure, but good catch. So here we are. Condition 1, construction in accordance with applicable laws. Construction of all structures on the site is to be in accordance with all applicable building codes and zoning regulations in effect in the City of Marlborough and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and shall be built according to the plans as may be amended during site plan review. Number 2, site plan review. The issuance of the special permit is further subject to detailed site plan review by the Site Plan Review Committee in accordance with the City of Marlborough Site Plan Review Ordinance prior to the issuance of a building permit. Any additional changes, alterations, modifications, or amendments as required during the process of site plan review shall be further conditions attached to the building permit, and no occupancy permit shall be issued until the applicant has complied with all conditions. Subsequent site plan review shall be consistent with the conditions of the special permit and the plan submitted, reviewed, and approved by the City Council as the special permit granting authority. Number 3, incorporation of submissions, all plans, photo renderings, site evaluations, briefs, and other documentation provided by the applicant as part of the application and as amended or revised during the application/hearing process before the City Council and/or the City Council's Public Services Committee are herein incorporated into and become a part of the special permit and become conditions and requirements of the same unless otherwise altered by the City Council. Number 4, compliance with applicable laws. The applicant, its successors and/or assigns agrees to comply with all municipal, state, and federal rules, regulations, and ordinance as they may apply to the construction, maintenance, and operation of the use. Number 5, all work performed on the site shall comply with this decision. No other building or construction or activity shall occur without further modification of the special permit. This condition shall be interpreted consistent with federal law governing WCFs. Number 6, no signage or advertising of any sort shall be permitted as part of the use. Number 7, the applicant shall comply with all applicable conditions for WCFs as set forth in Section 650-25F, each of which shall constitute conditions of the special permit. Number 8 was another addition. Any installation, modification, or maintenance of antenna equipment on the tank shall be coordinated with Utility Service Co. at the city's contracted water tank maintenance vendor to ensure no interference with the city's maintenance obligations or tank integrity. All antenna installations shall be subject to prior review and approval by Utility Service Co. pursuant to the contract. The applicant shall be responsible for the temporary removal and reinstallation of its antennas and associated equipment if such removal is necessary to accommodate required maintenance, inspection, or renovations of the water tank as determined by the city or its tank maintenance contractor. Costs associated with such removal shall be borne by the applicant. And number 9 is in accordance with the provisions of the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, the applicant, its successors, or assigns, and at its expense shall record the special permit with the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds after the city clerk has certified that the 20-day period for appealing the special permit has elapsed, with no appeal having been filed and before the applicant has applied to the building commissioner for a building permit. Upon recording, the applicant shall forthwith provide a copy of the recorded special permit to the City Council office, the Building Department, and the City Solicitor's office. That wraps up our special permit. If there are no further questions or comments from councilors, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Councilor Doucette has made a motion to approve, and it is seconded.
And that would be, thank you, is that motion to approve as amended with the conditions?
As amended.
As amended. Sounds good. Motion has been made and seconded to approve as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The vote carries 3-0. Thank you, Mr. Squires.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So the next, am I going to be meeting with the Site Plan Review Committee?
You personally, I do. If you haven't already, then yes, you'll be meeting with Site Plan Review at some point. They will take a look at the project, and I'll defer to the council president President Austin?
So I would just call, you've been working with Tom DePercio, the city engineer. I think you just need to clear it with the city engineer for the permit opening for this, for the work that you're going to do. So I would start with Tom DePercio, and if you need to go to site plan, he'll let you know.
He's the city engineer?
Yep,
Okay.
not for the street open, I'm thinking the Comcast, but just call Tom, and if you have to go before site plan, they'll let you know. And if you guys want to refer to legal to get this moving, otherwise he's going to be waiting a while to see the permit.
We absolutely can.
Yep.
So moved. I think it's important to get it to legal before the next meeting, so it's in proper form for the next meeting.
I would
Agreed.
support that.
Sounds good.
I was going to say, I want to make sure he understands that this has not been approved by the city council yet. That
Yeah, I
won't
knew
happen
that.
until August meeting. So, because he'll suspend next week to refer it, and it'll be back in August, so
Right.
Correct.
you still have.
And that'll be our meeting on August 18th,
Okay.
where that formal council vote will occur.
Okay, so it would be at that meeting? It wouldn't
Yep.
be, when I was talking, someone said it might, maybe it'd be September, but,
If I ask for a suspension, we'd be able to get it to legal and then back down to us, so sounds good. Thank you again, appreciate it.
thank you.
All righty. Next up is order number 109452B, petition of Comcast to install a new underground conduit starting at pole number 55, excavating to place one 3-inch PVC conduit, 158 feet plus or minus, and a provisioned XX 3 feet vault to provide service to 630 Forest Street. I believe we do have a representative of Comcast here.
Good evening.
How are you?
Eugene Baroka is my name. I'm speaking in favor of Comcast today. And I am here to request a grant of location to trench across Forest Street to get to 630 Forest Street for a customer, Galvian, and bring services to the entire building, essentially. And as you described, scope of work is well, that was the scope of work you described. This is my first one of these, so if you guys want to... Yes.
Councilor Doucette.
Yeah, I got to ask questions through him, just to let
Through
you
me.
know. But anyway, what I understand, there's communications from the city engineer to actually get, instead of doing a trench, but actually do a line and a pole on the other side of the street. So I think we need to get that resolved, which way it's going to be, because the city would rather see it as a pole and a wire. So, just trying to find...
And we did. So we met with the property owner. He is absolutely against putting a pole on the other side, on his property. He prefers that we don't, and I don't think we'll actually get a right of entry to do so.
To my understanding, Councilor Doucette, I know we've had a couple communications from the city engineer, and it sounds like he'd worked directly with Comcast to try to find, an alternative solution. I do know we have a couple of communications. The alternate plan, I believe we'll be receiving those plans shortly by tomorrow to give us an idea, but the road opening permit from the engineering division would be required prior to the start of work, and it sounds like we will be moving forward with the underground conduit.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette.
That was my only concern, so that's fine.
I don't have any concerns at this time, but any further questions from councilors? Councilor Irish?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions, but I definitely support the information that City Engineer Tom DePercio has supplied you. So I am in support of the alternate plan that he was going to put forward. So I would support this.
Thank you, Councilor Irish. Any further
So,
discussion?
do we approve it as it is, and then let it, or do we want to shelve it until they figure out what the answer is?
I would think we would approve as revised by the city engineer, but Councilor Ossing?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so Councilor Doucette, so we talked to Tom DePercio tonight. He has the revised drawings. We just don't have them on the council floor, but he
Okay.
has them. He's worked with the applicant, so they know where the wires are all going. So he's happy with it. He said he'll send them to Karen tomorrow morning. So if you approve the amended plans that are in the possession of the city engineer, that would be appropriate.
Okay, approve with the plans currently in possession of the city engineer.
Sounds good. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, or any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries 3-0. And with that,
Motion to adjourn.
motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries 3-0, and we are adjourned at 7:20 PM. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the City Council Urban Affairs and Housing Committee meeting to order. It is July 14th, 7:30. We have two items on our agenda to take up this evening. The first one is order number 25-109-433, the application for a special permit from Attorney Gemma Cashman on behalf of TB Marlboro LLC and Green Armory Laboratories Incorporated for the purpose of operating an independent marijuana testing laboratory to be located at 260 Cedar Hill Street. Attorney Cashman is not able to be with us, but we do have Mr. Paul White from Green Armory who is here. If he would like to come sit up in the well, if he has any opening remarks. Otherwise, I'll just get into taking up this. Just make sure if you're speaking, Mr. White, that the light is on that microphone. There's a button in the middle to push.
Can you hear me? Okay.
All right, do you have any?
So I am Paul White, Vice President of Green Armory Laboratories. This is a cannabis laboratory. There are only going to be a few people going in and out. Obviously, we'll all have, the people who work there will all have cannabis licenses, and the only other from the outside they'll be coming in is transporters. And they also own a cannabis license, transporting the samples to our facility. And we did this before, 3 years ago, and a week before we got permission to open from the Cannabis Board, our investor passed away. So we already had a provisional license to do this. This is not our first rodeo. So we are all set. I can answer any of your questions.
All right, I'm going to open up with comments that we received from the department heads on the language in the special permit. The building commissioner, Mr. Tway, building department had no issues. Priscilla Ryder from Conservation Sustainability, no comments, but she did note that during the site plan review committee, she will look more closely at the landscape requirements and existing drainage to see if any improvements might be needed. Tom DePercio, the city engineer, also had no issues, but also noted that they may make improvements as part of the final site plan review. Assistant Fire Chief Emanuelson, the fire department has no issues, and Paul Dunwoody from the Board of Health also had no comments. So we should be able to get through this without having to add any comments from department heads. I will begin, Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd just like to get a clarification. What is the difference between TV Marlboro LLC and Green Army Laboratories, Inc.? I mean, they're two business entities. How are they related?
EV Marlboro, I believe, is that the landlord? That's the landlord. We're in a building with other facilities, because this is
Okay.
We just occupy the far right-hand side of the building.
Yes.
There's four other
Right, okay.
facilities in there, testing laboratories.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily say that they are the landlord, so that was just my own clarification. I appreciate that.
They have no affiliation except being a
Being the landlord, okay. We may want to put something in item 1 about them being the landlord and Green Laboratory being the occupant.
How about if I just note to have the legal department check to see
Sure,
whether it
that's
needs
fine.
to be clarified?
That's fine.
All right, so the findings of facts, TV Marlboro LLC, a limited liability company, organized, existing, and in good standing under the laws of the state of Delaware, and existing and in good standing under the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, having a usual place of business at 42 Monument Street, Concord, Mass., hereafter referred to as TV Marlboro. Number 2 is Green Armory Laboratories, a corporation organized, existing, and in good standing under the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, having a usual place of business at 260 Cedar Hill Street, Marlboro, hereinafter referred to as Green Armory, and together with TV Marlboro, collectively the applicant. Number 3, Green Armory is a prospective tenant of a commercial unit located at 260 Cedar Hill Street, Marlboro, as shown on Marlboro Assessor's map 115, parcel 7A, the site. The owner of the site is TV Marlboro. The site is located in the Industrial I zoning district.
Stand
So I
corrected.
think that clarifies
Yes,
all
it
of
does.
that.
Yep, missed that.
Number 4, on April 17th, 2025, the applicant filed with the city clerk of the city of Marlborough an application for city council for issuance of a special permit under Article 5, Section 650-17, 650-18A47, and 650-32, to permit the applicant to conduct a business with the purpose of operating a marijuana independent testing laboratory, the use. Number 5, the application consisted of 1 original and 20 copies of the following: an application to City Council for issuance of the special permit, filing fee check in the amount of $500, a butters list, special permit summary impact statement, special permit application certification by the planning department, tax payment certification, site plan set consisting of 1 plan sheets prepared by Trow Engineering Group dated March 18th, 2025, the site plan, architectural plan set consisting of 6 plan sheets prepared by Alok Danda Architecture LLC dated November 25th, 2024. 3 sets of documents were delivered to the office of the city clerk. 12 sets of documents were delivered to city council, and 1 set of documents were delivered to the police chief, the fire chief, director of planner, building commissioner, and the city engineer, all in accordance with Article 7, Section 650-59. Number 6, the application was certified as complete by the building commissioner of the city of Marlborough, acting on behalf of the city planner for the city of Marlborough, in accordance with the rules and regulations promulgated by the city council for the issuance of a special permit. Number 7, in accordance with the rules and regulations of the City Council for the City of Marlborough and applicable statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the City Council established June 9th, 2025 as the date for a public hearing on the application, caused to be advertised notice of said hearing and the date thereof in the Metro West Milford Daily News, and mailed said notice to those entitled thereto, all in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A. Number 8, all abutters certified by the Office of the Board of Assessors of Marlborough were sent legal notification of the public hearing via certified mail prior to the public hearing on June 9th. The green-white certified mail slips were submitted to the city clerk's office. Number 9, the City Council held a public hearing on the application on June 9th, 2025, in accordance with the published notice. The hearing was opened at the time provided in the notice, and following the completion of testimony, the hearing was closed on said date. Number 10, the applicant presented testimony at the public hearing detailing the business operational plans for facility, especially as it pertained to security waste disposal, hiring practices, community and economic impact, and such issues as the City Council and members of the public deemed appropriate. Members of the public had the opportunity to testify at the public hearing. At the public hearing, no members of the public spoke in favor of the use as the site, and no members of the public spoke in opposition to the use at the site. The applicant, number 11, the applicant provided written and oral documentation and testimony to the City Council and the City Council's Urban Affairs and Housing Committee regarding the facility, operations, security, and waste disposal. Number 12, the applicant provided to Urban Affairs written and oral documentation as to the handling of the waste materials. In summation, all marijuana waste material used in the process of testing and leftover marijuana specimens will be disposed of by 2 marijuana agents that will be enclosed in a marijuana waste manifest. During and after this process of disposal takes place, the marijuana waste will be stored in a secure area of the inventory room that will be separate and secure until the actual disposal takes place by a medical waste vendor. Records will be maintained in Excel files for all marijuana products used and available for a minimum of 4 years. 13, the facility has 24-hour monitoring of security cameras, as well as multi-tiered levels of security clearance within the building. The applicant commits to work with city officials and the Marlborough Police Department to address any and all reasonable security concerns. Number 14, all staff of Green Armory comply with all Cannabis Control Commission hiring requirements, including but not limited to any background and query check requirements. Number 15, the applicant commits to considering local applicants for employment and independent contract purposes. Applicant's residency will be one positive consideration among many considerations such as experience and educational background. And number 16, according to the Planning Department, the site plan has been reviewed by the Building Department and conforms in all aspects to city code. It meets all requirements of the zoning ordinance. Based upon the above, the City Council makes the following findings and takes the following actions. A, the applicant has complied with all rules and regulations promulgated by the City Council as they pertain to special permit applications. B, the City Council finds that the proposed use at the site is an appropriate use and in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance when subject to the appropriate terms and conditions as provided in this decision. The City Council makes these findings subject to the completion and adherence by the applicant to the conditions more fully set forth in this decision as further specified below. C, the City Council finds that the site is located in the portion of the industrial zoning district located west of Interstate Highway Route 495 in accordance with Section 650-1847A of the zoning ordinance, and that the site is not located within 500 feet of a school or a daycare center in accordance with Article 6, Section 650-32F of the zoning ordinance. D, in accordance with Article 6, Section 650-32C of the zoning ordinance, the City Council hereby determines that any adverse effects of the use at the site will not outweigh its beneficial impacts to the city or the neighborhood in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to the site based upon consideration of the following. I'm going to breeze through these because they're going to be repeated later. Social, economic, and community needs, traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading, adequacy of utilities and public services, neighborhood character and social structures, impacts of the natural environment, potential fiscal impact, including impact on city services, tax base, and employment, hours of operation, requiring that contact information be provided to the chief of police, the building commissioner, and the special permit granting authority to the extent permitted by law, requiring payment of a community impact fee, requiring the submission to the special permit granting authority of the same annual reports that must be provided to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission, requiring regular inspections by city officials or their agents and access to the same records which are available for inspection to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Public Health or the Cannabis Control Commission, requiring employees to undergo a criminal background check, including but not limited to query and an additional background check by the police chief, requiring surveillance cameras capable of 24-hour video recordings, archiving recordings, and the ability to immediately produce images, and prohibiting the sale of any material or items unrelated to the purposes of registration by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Findings. The requirement is specifically conditioned below. The ability for the business to, and there's a whole slew of things that they need to do, provide a secure indoor waiting area, provide adequate and secure pickup drop-off, provide adequate security measures to ensure no individual participant will pose a direct threat to the health or safety of other individuals, adequately address issues of traffic demand, parking, and queuing, provide opaque exterior windows, signs and signage, and the names of the business' business logos are subject to state and federal law and regulations. And number 18, if applicable, reduce energy and water usage, engage in energy conservation, and mitigate other environmental impacts. E, the City Council, pursuant to its authority under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, and the zoning ordinance of the City of Marlborough, hereby grants the application for a special permit to the applicant in order to authorize the operation of a marijuana independent testing laboratory at 260 Cedar Hill Street, subject to the following conditions, which conditions shall be binding to the applicant, its successors, and/or assigns. I did notice in looking at the prior special permit that we granted to another independent testing laboratory, that they had a number one that was called construction in accordance with applicable laws. It reads, construction is to be in accordance with all applicable building codes and zoning regulations in effect in the city of Marlborough and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I think that is pretty much language that we have in all of our special permits. So if there's no objection, I would suggest we
So moved.
create that as a number one. And then the rest of them will just get renumbered. So compliance with applicable laws. The applicant agrees to comply with all municipal, state, and federal rules, regulations, and ordinances as they may apply to the maintenance and operation of the use at the site. Site plan review. The use at the site is further subject to site plan review in accordance with the City of Marlborough site plan review ordinance prior to the issuance of any occupancy permit as required by Article 6, Section 65032E of the zoning ordinance. Any additional changes, alterations, modifications, or amendments as required during the process of site plan review shall be further conditions attached to the building permit, and no final occupancy permit shall be issued until the applicant has complied with all conditions. Site plan review shall be consistent with the conditions of the special permit and the materials submitted, reviewed, and approved by the City Council as a special permit granting authority. Number 3, incorporation of submissions. All plans, photo rendering, site evaluations, briefs, and other documentation provided by the applicant as part of the application and as amended or revised during the application hearing process before the City Council and/or Urban Affairs are herein incorporated into and become a part of this special permit and become conditions and requirements of the same unless otherwise altered by the City Council. I will note here, I did talk to the legal department because I was curious with past discussions that we've had to see if the details that are in the finding of facts number 5 need to actually be relisted here. It was suggested that the legal department can look at the 2 of them. I did note in looking back through multiple other special permits that in the findings of facts where it gives all of the documents that were given to us, it does specify that there's a attachment A, which is missing from this. So I think that that would be an inclusion that the legal department will figure out where in findings of facts 5 to have attachment A, and then those documents that we received would be attached. Is that okay by everybody? All right. Number 4, compliance with state requirements. In accordance with Article 5, Section 650-1847C of the zoning ordinance, the use at the site shall comply with all statutes and regulations of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the licensure and operation of an independent testing laboratory. Number 5, security. A, the applicant shall maintain the security at the site in accordance with the applicable Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission requirements for an independent testing laboratory. B, the applicant shall maintain the designated laboratory and storage area as a secured and limited access area at the site. And C, the applicant shall maintain surveillance cameras capable of 24-hour video recording and archiving recordings. And on this one, as I said, the other independent testing laboratory that we had when we granted them their permit, it had a statement, the applicant shall comply with the City Council requirement that a written security plan be approved and signed by the City of Marlborough Police Chief or his designee. So I don't know if you talked to the police department about your security plan, and if in fact there is a written security plan that they have, if that's a necessary addition we need to add to the permit.
we have a written security plan already. And I'm not sure if we talked to the police or fire yet, but they will be, we can't do anything until you're approved. So we can't install any wiring for the security, and we will be inviting the police department in, and we'll be inviting the fire department in for a survey to make sure we have everything right in compliance with your local laws. We pretty much know what we're doing at this point.
So would you have any objection to us adding that in there so that it would just be a...
I believe we already have it. It's in there. I submitted it to the city council before, a security plan.
You wouldn't have submitted it to us, but this is asking that the
Question.
police department have the written security plan approved.
They will.
Madam Chair.
Councilor Ossing, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. White, what we're asking is, the last time, you don't want to be sending security plans to the city council. I mean, you might as well post them on the website if you're going to send them to us. That's not a, don't recommend that. What we did in the past was we had the applicant just provide the police chief with the written security plans. Police chief normally works with the applicant, gives you the thumbs up that it's good to go, and then he has a copy of it for himself and his department at the facility. So all we did in the past, and has to be missing from this particular one, is just to add that statement, that you'll provide the written plan to the police chief and he'll sign off on it, Mr. White. That's all. If you're okay with that, we'll just add that language in there.
Like, one thing we are going to do with the fire department is have a list of hazardous materials, which is required. Most of them are volatiles that we use for the processing of the samples. And so we will be providing the fire department with an MSDS list of all the stuff that we use, so they will know ahead of time if anything ever happens. So that's one of the reasons I invite them in, is to make sure everything's in place. Like the regular fire extinguishers that are on the wall will not do us any good. They contain potassium permanganate. It's a powder. It would ruin all our equipment. We're spending $1.2 million on equipment. We'll be using CO2 fire extinguishers for this purpose. Where there's equipment. The other spots will be using regular, but anything, even a computer, will be ruined because the static electric capacity tends to collect the dust on the boards, and you have to take everything apart to get it to work before you start it up. So CO2 fire extinguishers are going to be our mode. We are storing all our waste and our samples within one room, and the samples will be caged. So within the room, we'll have a locked cage. None of us will be able to get in except by access with that key, besides the room being locked. The only time we will be using that room is when we have samples or we have to process samples and then take them out of there and put them on the instruments. But that room will have all our scales and have a computer which will monitor the use of what we have and what's left over.
And some of those details are already in the site plan that we received, and I'm sure would be clarified even more at site plan. I see Councilor Vidal had a hand.
Madam Chair, would it be consistent, if we're going to be asking for a security plan for the police to have oversight, that we have a safety plan that has oversight from the fire chief?
So, Madam Chair.
Councilor Ossing.
So, with all due respect, Council Vital, let's not overcomplicate it. We've done this before. This is just the language that we want from the past. They've run these things for testing laboratories. It's not my version rocket science. You know, please don't complicate it, would be my recommendation.
And I'm sure that the fire department will make sure that they have everything they need when this goes back to site plan for site plan review. And would make sure that it's in there.
Myself and Mr. Freedy have owned labs in the past, so we always invite the fire department in, no matter what. So make sure we're in compliance with local laws and make sure we didn't miss anything.
And I'm sure they were in looking at the building at the former testing facility that we had. So are you okay with that?
That's fine, Madam Chair.
All right, so we will add in that sentence into security. Number 6, now number 7 is processing and odors. There shall be no processing or manufacturing of marijuana or marijuana-infused products as part of the use at the site. Marijuana and marijuana products shall be prepackaged and sealed prior to arriving at the site. Any odors associated with marijuana and marijuana-infused products shall be limited to the interior of the unit. There shall be no on-site consumption or use of marijuana or marijuana-infused products associated with the use at the site. Hours, the maximum hours of operation of the site of the use at the site shall be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Number 8's contact information. The applicant shall provide current contact information of management and staff to the chief of police, the building commissioner, and the city council. Annual reports. The applicant shall submit to the city council the same annual reports that must be provided to the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission. Inspections and records. The applicant shall make the use available for regular inspections by city officials or their agents, and shall provide city officials or their agents with access to the same records which are available for inspection to the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission. Background checks. The applicant shall require that employees undergo a criminal background check, including but not limited to Corey, and an additional background check by the chief of police, who shall have the authority to disapprove the employment of any persons as a result of said background check. Unrelated materials. The applicant shall not make available for sale as part of the use at the site any materials or items unrelated to the sale of marijuana, including, without limitation, tobacco products, clothes, cigarettes, or e-cigarettes. And I know I had looked at the original language. It's worded a little bit differently, and I'm hoping that maybe legal can figure out how to reword that, because you are not selling anything at this site, and that's confusing when it talks about that you're not going to make available for sale anything, because you're not selling anything. If he can clean that up, or if they're okay
Madam
with
Chair?
that language. I'm sorry, Councilor Doucette.
Yes, possibly the best way to reference this is not a retail establishment with nothing for sale. So there should be of something of that ilk, just,
That.
yeah.
Recording of decision is our usual language in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 11. The applicant at its expense shall record this special permit. So that is the language.
Madam Chair, when it's
sorry.
appropriate, I have a couple of questions.
Sure, I was going to
That's
say
fine.
I'm finished, so I can open it up to, first I'll go, are there any questions from the committee members? Any other changes? Councilor Oram, then questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Under number 6, processing and odors, when you test the products, you said you have volatiles, I believe, you're using a solvent to do your testing. Do you do, go ahead.
Yes, our machines are liquid chromatography, LCMS. So it has to be in a liquid form, so we have to extract it out of the marijuana and put it in a liquid form, and then we put that onto the machines and test it in general.
That instrumentation's quite nice to have the mass spectrometer, never mind the gas chromatograph. But the question would be, is this done under a hood, or is that instrument hooked up to a vent?
The instruments are hooked up to vents, and we have 2 hoods. So all our processing and grinding will be done under hoods. And we're going to be using Element Air, which is the same filters that are used on the International Space Station. And they are recommended for the marijuana use, for even growers. But some of the growers, the odors are too strong. Ours aren't going to be that strong because we already have controlled vents.
So you answered my question. I was going to ask, do you have any type of scrubbers or filters for that?
Yes,
So-
Element Air. We'll have 3 of those.
Thank you. The concern is if it started evaporating into the air outside.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And if, Madam Chair, I just had 2 other questions, if I may.
Certainly.
The hours of operation, I worked in a lab, and I worked till 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
Food testing, but it's still testing. Were you confined to those hours, or did you want them to?
They asked for a policeman on duty. They thought we were a retailer. 8 to 5 is fine for now.
Yeah.
if we get bigger, we're going to come back to here and ask for extra hours.
I would be agreeable to that. I feel that working in the labs through my career, we didn't shut down at 5, you know.
I work at UMass right now, at Lemonster Hospital.
So you're open
So
around the
I'm
clock.
in the laboratory right now, so, yeah.
Well, I would be I didn't know if you were confined to those, but I would be in favor of extensions if needed. As you say, this is a lab.
Right now, we have no problem with those hours.
And the only thing I would say under contact information, include the fire chief, just so if there's an issue, you can, it says to notify the chief of police, the building commissioner, and city council. I would just ask in number, it's actually 8, to be 9, that include the fire chief.
Okay, no
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is the committee okay with adding in fire chief of fire department? All right. Any other questions, comments? Anybody
Motion
care
to
make a
approve?
motion? Counselor Doucette
Motion to approve as amended.
has moved to approve the special permit as amended. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed would be 0. So that is wonderful that we can have a lab back in the city, and I'm sure the state appreciates the fact that they will have
They
an
just shut
additional
one down.
lab.
I don't know if anyone heard about that.
Yep.
So,
Well, maybe with all of the closing of businesses, there won't be quite the
no,
need.
the state
but-
shut them down. But,
Anyway,
we are using high-end equipment compared to what they use. We'll never see that issue that they ran into.
That's good. So I will be reporting this out on Monday, the 21st of July, and
Okay.
we will ask to have it be referred to the solicitor to be put in proper form, and it will be back on the council's agenda on our August meeting, August 18th, which
Okay.
is when the council, as a full body, will vote on this special permit.
Thank you.
Once that is approved, then you'll be ready to go back to site plan.
Okay.
Assuming, all right?
Thank
Thank you very much. All right, the second item on our agenda is order number 109496, a request for the approval of a master sign plan for various signs pursuant to Chapter 5337I1A of the City Code for the McDonald's Restaurant to be located at 735 Boston Post Road East in the Wayside Zoning District. And Councilor Doucette recused himself. Councilor Doucette has left the meeting. So I will make sure I note that. And we have with us a representative from McDonald's. If you would like to reintroduce yourself, please.
Yes, thank you. I'm Ann Soboleski on behalf of McDonald's.
And we have a documentation that came from us, which I actually was hoping you had brought bigger copies because I was having trouble reading some of the fine print. And I will read the letter that you sent us, City Council, City Hall, regarding McDonald's USA application for approval of the master sign plan. Dear President Ossing and honorable members of the City Council, this firm represents McDonald's USA LLC, the applicant, in connection with its proposed restaurant to be located at 735 Boston Post Road. As the property is located in the Wayside District, the Marlboro zoning ordinance requires approval by the City of Marlboro City Council on the master sign plan for the property. Attached, please find the complete sign package for the property for review and consideration by the council. With respect to the monument sign proposed to be located on Boston Post Road, the applicant presents 2 alternative sign options. The first option, which is the applicant's preference, is for a taller sign. Should the council, however, disfavor the first option, the applicant has also provided an alternative lower sign. Please let me know if you have any questions concerning the enclosed. Thank you for your assistance. Sincerely, Ann Soboleski, Esquire. So what you have sent us, I guess what I was having trouble seeing, and I didn't print it in color, but was the map of the site with a bunch of little dots that were coded with letters that matched, and I couldn't tell what the lettering was. So I don't know if anybody else had an issue with, because I wasn't sure if we're approving a sign plan, if this is technically what we're approving, then everybody needs to know exactly what that is. Did everybody else have the same issue trying to see what each of the red dots meant?
When they're red, it's a little bit easier. The black and white version is a little bit harder, but yeah, the red,
so I
the red
tried
version
blowing
makes
it up and make the picture bigger, but it just made everything more blurry. So I guess we'll hold off on this and have, because I think the main discussion may relate to the McDonald's preference for the tall sign and the city's maybe preference for the smaller version of the sign. So everybody could probably see that pretty clearly. The first sign, which one of them only shows that it has the McDonald's at the top and then it has drive-through, and it's only 4 feet wide by 30 feet tall. And then there was one that had the M at the top, a McCafe, a Wi-Fi, and 24 hours. That was, it seemed to be 8 feet across, and I'm not sure how tall, because it doesn't give me the height. So I will open that up to discussion.
Madam Chair?
Councilor Navin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thanks for being here. And thanks for your commitment to kind of working through some of these issues. I know we had this conversation during the special permit process. And I appreciate you giving some of the options. I feel pretty strongly, as I noted during the special permit, the sign that admittedly is not the preference of the company is the smaller one. I appreciate you putting what appears to be a 6-foot-tall gentleman next to a sign, so we can see it with scale a little bit. And boy, does he look tiny next to the big 30-foot sign. But my strong preference would be the smaller sign. It's simpler, actually. I think it's a kind of a classier looking sign. If you guys were a different business, I may be a little bit more, not sympathetic, but I could understand the need to really grab people. McDonald's being such an iconic brand, it's being so easy to spot, and quite frankly, with the people who are looking for a new venue, maybe just plugging it into Waze or their GPS anyways. This is not a highway where people are looking to kind of grab it. I think that it is sufficient. I don't think that brand loyalty or brand awareness is a challenge for you guys. But I do think what it also does is it really creates and helps to create the atmosphere of the district that was intended when the Wayside Zone District was created. A lot of work has been done in this part of the city to really clean it up, to make it more inviting. And I know Councilor Doucette's not here right now, but the very long, painful process that has gone on that part of the city with the road work, the installation of the new curbing, the installation of pedestrian and bike safety. I think this really creates kind of the atmosphere that they were looking to. So I don't want to go on and on about a sign, but that is my strong preference, and I really appreciate your willingness to work with us and providing it as an option. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And I will say on the smaller sign, the 6-foot sign, it has non-illuminated, but you can have lights that's shining onto the sign so that it does, especially at nighttime when the store is open, that makes it a little more visible.
Right, we didn't make any of the signs internally illuminated. They're all, even the 2 M's, the M in front and the M on the side, they're not illuminated.
Okay. Well, that's good, because it wasn't clear if they were or not. So anybody else have comments on the main sign? Councilor Fricillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilor Navin hit the nail on the head. Many of my same kind of understanding of the situation. I don't think you guys struggle with brand identity or folks, recognizing McDonald's. I think folks who are going to go to McDonald's will see a new one, and they will patronize, the business regardless of the signage. I know I've fielded a couple calls just from folks also in that plaza, some other business owners, and in just talking to them, they're excited about the prospect of McDonald's going there. They think it brings more foot traffic to the area. And, again, I think that's regardless of kind of what the signage is. I know staying true to those businesses, they're held to a pretty minimal kind of standard of what they're allowed to use in terms of signage. So, for me, I want to stay true to those businesses that are in that plaza, many of which are a little bit smaller than a chain like McDonald's. So, and staying consistent there, I also favor the smaller sign in this case. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilor Preciado.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not going to say much, but I do echo the same sentiment as the other two councilors on the committee, so that's all. Thank you.
All right. So it seems like we're all in favor of the non-illuminated 6-foot by 8-foot simple M sign that is shown with the person standing next to it.
6-foot by 5-foot.
Did I say?
You said 6 by 8.
Looks like 5. Oh, did I say 8? Oh, I'm sorry, 5 feet. 6 foot tall, 5 feet wide. As opposed to the taller sign. So the issue becomes this one document that has all of the signage. Okay. I'll leave it down there. I can kind of go around using this larger piece if everybody has theirs and begin in the top left hand of the site where the exit, the first exit, and that D is. The D stands for directional, and there's 2 of them, one on each side of the enter and exit of the driveway. Then below that is the red dot that says MS, which is where the monument sign would go, which is now not I don't know if it's still considered a monument sign, I guess. The sign signifying that it is a McDonald's. Then further below that is the letter PF, which is a pull forward sign. And there are 2 more pull forward signs in front of the building, one right at the middle of the front of the building and one at the lower left-hand corner. On the lower left, there are WA signs that are wall arches, and those I think we can see in the pictures of the side of the building. Circling around counterclockwise is a MOB, which is the mobile order blade sign. And the lower right is a PSB, which is pre-sale board, and there are 2 of those. OHC is order here canopy. And then there are 2 more menu board signs because there are 2 drive-throughs, so the same signs are on each of those. Around, continuing counterclockwise to the building are 3 WPD signs, which is window position decals, and those, there were 3 of those for where I guess people would pick up their orders.
Madam Chair, if I can just ask a question on those 3 windows.
Yes.
How do they work? I've never been to a McDonald's. They're probably out there that have 3 windows. I've been to a Dunkin' Donuts with 2 windows, but is it something new, if I may, Madam Chair, to the applicant?
Yes, it's supposed to make it more efficient. So you get directed, once you place your order, they'll tell you which window to go to pick it up. So if you're ordering something that has a lot of components, you could get directed to one window, and then the people who are behind you who are ordering less things could get directed to a different one to keep the flow going.
Which makes sense, but just curious, does it cause any accidents? People trying to pull out from the, say, the faster window or even the further window, and all of a sudden the car is coming right by them?
No,
Is
it hasn't caused any problems.
Okay, no, it's just curious.
It's
First time I've
efficiency,
seen
I
3
guess.
windows. Makes sense, but I never seen 3 windows before at a McDonald's. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, and then on the western side of the site, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red circles that have MO. That is for the mobile order, which I was curious about that. Do people pull into those spots to place a mobile order or to pick up a mobile
Just
order?
to pick it up.
Okay.
They're just for the pickup.
Versus going through the line where everybody who is ordering there. All right. And then there are, at the back end, there is another entrance exit that helps people trying to get out of there to be able to go to the lights and the directional signs. So my only question was in looking at the site, the documents that we got for the site plan, it has on it, and this is tiny too, but it has 2 wall signs. And then it has some other number. So I'm not sure if we're approving signs that you're not going to be able to put on the building because site plan will say that you have too many signs.
Site plan sent us here to get this approved because you're responsible for the signage package.
Okay.
So they didn't even discuss the signage. But what we've been through the process with site plan and we've responded to everybody's comments. So if you approve this sign package, then we'll mesh the 2 together.
Okay, because what's in here is by the code. And again, I should have tried to figure out how to make this bigger, and I did not have time. The maximum number of signs, according to the code, is 2 wall signs. So I'm guessing those are your 2 M's that are on there?
Yes.
And then there are also other code for a front wall sign, a maximum wall signs, and drive-through signs. And it's so tiny that I can't read what it says. But if by approving this, there are more than are allowed by the code, I don't want to have confusion.
So that,
Give that.
sure. So the engineers went through the requirements in order to make sure that we would comply in terms of.
I would have guessed that you did, and my only concern are the 3 additional signs on the pickup side where you have those pictures showing that it's window 1, 2, 3 and pickup. If only 2 signs are allowed and they're the 2 M's that are on the buildings, will they allow the additional?
Madam Chair, this is a hypothesis. I'm not claiming to understand
you can
this
read
part
it.
of the code or the fact that I can read this. I'm struggling emotionally with the fact that I am getting more and more hard of sight here. There are several drive-throughs that have multiple signs from a directional capacity. I have to assume that these are fine with that, as are the mobile signs, which every plaza now has for mobile pickup orders.
Yep, and
this doesn't
that's-
look any different than the Starbucks about 500 yards west of there, or the Chipotle, so I am comfortable with that. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, if I may, just to say, so the window signs, they don't have the M on them either. They're just the number. So-
Right, but you do have 2 M's on the building. There's one on the east elevation, and I thought there was one on the, was there only one?
No, I think there's 2.
No, there's 2. There's
2.
one on the
One
front
on the
and there's
south
one.
facing and one on the,
All right, so I'm okay with approving this plan for the signs as brought with the clarification that it is the smaller one, not the, we can get rid of that and go with just this 5-foot by 6-foot non-illuminated monument sign.
Madam Chair,
Counselor Navin.
move to approve the master sign plan for the various signs for McDonald's that includes the master sign that is 6 feet tall by 5 feet wide.
All right. I will second that. Is there further discussion? Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the sign plan with the smaller monument sign? 1, 2, 3, 4. Counselor Doucette has recused himself, so I think we are good with that. So the plan is to have this reported out at Monday's meeting. This does not need to go to, it's not a special permit, it doesn't need to go to legal, so could I suspend to have it approved? I don't know that there's real hurry, because I don't even know if you've pulled a building permit yet.
No, we don't have the building permit
So it could just lay on the I can report this out, it can lay on the table till our August meeting, we can approve the sign plan, and then you'll be ready, because I'm assuming you've still got to go back to site plan to finalize all of those other details.
That would be perfect.
Okay?
Move to adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. We are adjourned at 8:21. Thank you.